Here.
Here. Thank you. Next will be adoption of the agenda. Motion by Sechrist and a second by Evans to adopt the agenda. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next item is general public comment. This is a time for members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the council or the committee on any issue not on the agenda. Action will not be taken at the meeting on any issue not on the agenda except by placement on the agenda by unanimous vote of the council members present. I don't believe I have any speaker request forms, so I'm going to close general public comment. Then we'll move on to consent items 1 through 5, and I'll open public comment on that. And I don't have anyone looking to speak on consent items 1 through 5, so I'm going to close public comment on consent items 1 through 5. And I'm going to ask the committee if they want to remove any items from the consent items and for separate consideration. If not, I'm going to move on for an approval of the minutes from July 30, 2025.
So moved.
Motion by Evans and a second by Sechrist to approve the minutes of July 30. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the Finance Office, and we'll go to Finance Director Daniel Ainsley, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item number 2 is just a resolution to surplus a 2008 Dodge truck that the inspectors use. It has 197,000 miles on it and has several issues, the cost of which to repair would exceed the value of the actual vehicle itself. Item number 3 is a resolution for assessments on 5 separate parcels. They are all for remediation efforts that were done to remove grass and weeds. One property is for $380. The remaining 4 are for $400.
Any discussion on items 2 and 3? Motion to approve by Sechrist and a second by Evans. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll go to Community Development Director Vicki Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a request to extend our contract with Logan Simpson. This is the consulting firm that is working with city staff to upgrade our comprehensive plan for the city. It's our 10-year plan. The request is to extend it from September 30th to November 30th. Please note that all of the work will be completed by the original date, that September 30th deadline, but this allows us then to bring it forward through the public hearing process. I do want to point out, and this is very important, sitting in the audience today is my project plan division manager, Marlo Capps. So Marlo, do you mind just raising your hand? We've been working closely with Logan Simpson. A lot of it didn't appear to address the comments we're hearing from you. Many of you participated in bringing forward what you wanted to see in the comp plan, and Marlo is spending endless hours on ensuring that all of those comments are included and really bringing a writing style to the document itself that I think is one we can be proud of. I think my last email from her was at 1:45 a.m. And so it's a big lift, and when we do bring this forward, just know that it's been with a lot of staff participation. So if you will, please continue that out until November 30th. We want to bring you a document that we can all be really proud of.
Move to approve. I want to make a statement.
Okay, motion by Evans and a second by Sechrist. We'll go back to Bill Evans for a comment.
Yeah, I think this is really, really important that we do this. I believe in strategic planning that has good, practical, day-to-day tactical use. I'm hoping this document acts as something like the guiding North Star. So whenever we make a decision up here on this council, we can refer back to this as a working document that says, this is really in the best interest of the city and the direction we should be going. I have my doubts that it may end up that way. I'm hoping it does. And even if it doesn't, we could always keep amending it, I suppose, in the future to make it work as such. But I do think it's very important for people to understand where we are headed as a city. And so often people don't think, 10, 15, 100 years in advance. And if you look at the great places, they do. So hopefully this particular document will serve as, such a guiding light, and I'm hoping for the best. So, thank you.
Okay, there's been a motion to approve. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll go on to the fire department.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are requesting to request and accept funding from the South Dakota Department of Labor. This is for our apprenticeship program. It's a kind of like a pass-through grant from the feds down to the State Department of Labor. There's no strings attached for us. I think we have 6 or 7 employees that would qualify for this, and it's just used to offset the cost of providing on the job training to those apprenticeships.
Okay, thank you. Motion to approve by Sechrist and a second by Evans. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to the end of the consent calendar. Now we're going to non-consent items 6 through 9. And I'll open public comment, and I don't have any speaker request forms. So I'm going to close public comment on the non-consent items. And next we're going to have a presentation on bridge inspections, 2025 Bridge Inspection Significant Findings Report by Bros Engineering,
Thank you,
And
Mr. Chair.
backed up by the city engineer.
Yep. Roger is going to talk about the Chapel Lane Bridge after we're done discussing our presentation too. So with that, everybody should have this copy of our presentation. If you turn, we'll start on page 4 and discuss the Chapel Lane Bridge.
All right, I'm Josh Hurdle. This inspection was not initially on our list this year, but we got a call that there had been a hole in the deck, and you can see here on page 4, the top picture there. That hole was about 3 foot in diameter, went completely through the deck. And before I arrived there, the city had already closed that lane of that bridge. They then went through and repaired that section of the bridge, as you can see on that page 4 there in the bottom picture. Then if you turn the page, we got the general condition of the underside of that deck. You can see there's a lot of deterioration on that top picture on page 5. There's also a lot of efflorescence, that white stuff that you can see in the pictures there. And then down on that bottom picture, the bearing locations where those beams sit on the concrete back walls there. There's some severe corrosion on that southwest corner there and on that west beam there in general.
So after all the repairs were done and Josh performed the full in-depth inspection on that, all of the engineers in our office, we all got together and, talked about this bridge extensively and what we wanted to do with it. And we all came to the conclusion that, for the safety of the general public, we needed to put a low posting on this bridge. The intent was to try to keep the heavier vehicles off the bridge so that we would reduce the likelihood of more holes opening up. We can't guarantee that more holes won't form in the future, but we're hoping that by putting this low posting on it, it will reduce the likelihood of more holes forming. And so we end up putting a 75%, we call it 75% of legal load posting on it, which would essentially be 18 tons on a single unit vehicle, which is anything without a trailer, and then 30 tons on a combination vehicle, which is anything with a trailer. And we understand that this might cause a hardship for some people, but at the end of the day, our number one priority is the safety of the public, and I think that's what we accomplished with this posting, is ensuring that the public is safe. And if you turn to page 7, this is structure 52391332 on Somerset Drive. If you look at that top picture, the main issue on this bridge is the abutment caps. We call them abutment caps. It's essentially what the beams sit on. That steel is severely corroded, and it's losing a significant amount of section. This structure actually wasn't on the list to get inspected this year, but the city had some concerns about it, and so they called us to look at this one as well. And It hasn't gotten any worse since last year, but that cap is continuing to deteriorate, and at the rate it's progressing, we might be lowering the posting on it in the future. This one is currently posted already at 30 tons and 50 tons. So it's just something we'll keep our eyes on. Also, if you look at that bottom picture, the underside of that concrete deck is also starting to come apart. We got some exposed rebar that's severely corroded with section loss. Then if you turn to page 9, this is a bridge on Creek Drive. If you look at that top picture, the main issue with this bridge are the concrete beams are spalling pretty bad. There's chunks of concrete popping off. And that exposed rebar in that top picture, that bottom strand is completely severed. And from this structure gets looked at every year now because of the deterioration. And if you look at that bottom picture, there's now a horizontal crack that's formed on the top of that beam. And that crack was not evident in last year's inspection. And so because of this, we decided to close off the east half of the bridge. And we are currently working with the city to potentially replace this with a precast box culvert. This is a double T bridge, we call it, the beams. And these beams do not really hold up very well to heavy truck traffic, which is what almost all the traffic on this bridge sees. And so that's why we recommended to the city to go with the box culvert, because that's a much more stout and rigid structure. So that pretty much finishes up what we have to talk about. Turn it over to Roger.
All right, thank you. Committee members, first I want to shout out to these guys. They've done a great job for us. They're Johnny on the spot whenever we ask them to jump into the game here. And I also want to recognize our streets and bridge engineer that's in the audience. It's on our staff. It's Sarah Odden here. So thank you to those guys. The Chapel Lane Bridge, this has been a dynamic thing here in the last couple of weeks. Just to let you know, the bridge is 51 years old. It's done its job. It's served its life. These guys have gone out and inspected it. We put on a pretty aggressive campaign getting the word out. We've sent out letters to every homeowner in the Chapel Valley area out there, and it's 538 was the number of letters we sent out, so it was pretty significant force by our staff out there. We did have a lot of stakeholders meetings before sent the message out. Just to give you an idea, we met with Visit Rapid City, Solid Waste, Emergency Services, both fire and police. We met with the Rapid City Schools twice because we were very concerned about school buses, and we've been able to work through with them. Their school buses are lighter than the load limit, so that's good news. South Dakota DOT, they have Jackson Boulevard, which is right adjacent to it. Our street department, and just as a note, the street department is over there checking the bridge every week right now to make sure there's no more deterioration, or if we need to alert somebody to come in and fix it. Rapid City Transit, we've been in touch with them. Stav Kirk, that is a challenge. Their tour buses are too heavy to cross the bridge, and they are still working through some issues. They were here for the meeting yesterday and spoke to it. And they're working on some solutions. They get about 100 tour buses during the tourist season, and we're not quite through the tourist season yet, but I know they're talking to Blessed Sacrament to see if they can stage out of there and some other things. Like I said, a 50-year-old bridge. I do want to let you know that we've been applying for a grant for this bridge replacement for several years, and we haven't been successful. We think with this current development, this will put us in the category for a grant. It's called a BIG grant, B-I-G, Bridge Improvement Grant from the DOT. And what that does is the DOT pays 80% and we pay 20%, so it's a really good deal for us. Bridge right now is estimated at $4.3 million, so it's a significant investment in our community. We will proceed, whether we get the grant or not, on replacing the bridge. We're going to have to find the money somewhere to do this. Right now, the schedule is, it's in design. We've already had this in design. HDR is our design firm, and we're looking at applying for the grant in January and then bidding this in the early spring for a late summer start of construction. Following that, we estimate it's going to be about 18 months worth of construction. We have to build it half at a time. As you guys know, this is the only way in and out of that area. And we've looked at even, can we move the bridge somewhere else and leave this one open while we're doing it? And we can't. We have to put the bridge back in where it's at. There's floodplain issues, there's environmental issues, and some other things there. So letters mailed out, residents. We continue to communicate with all of our stakeholders and work through the issues. I don't want to speak out of turn here. Jeff Barber's in our audience with the landfill, and they are working through how they're going to serve the customers out there. Load posting's go into effect on August 20th. So it'll be, is that next week probably? So Wednesday of next week, the load limits will be in effect. We're going to sign it on the bridge itself, but also we're putting signing out on Jackson Boulevard because we don't want trucks and items turning into there and being kind of landlocked in there and not be able to go. And the other thing that I want to mention that Vicki reminded me of yesterday is we've been asked to look at an alternate route out of that area for emergencies. Obviously, it's a challenge. I know that they've been working on that at the city for, I don't know, Stacy, how many years? 20 years? I looked to Stacy because he worked on it. So, but yeah, they've been looking at that for many, many years. And so that's been revitalized because of this. So any questions on the Chapel Lane Bridge or anything I left out? And yes, Greg, the bridge he talked about on Somerset is the one you cross to go home.
Well, that's not what the map looks like. It looks like it's the other one. Is the one that's in your picture, is that the south entrance to Somerset?
It's the north one, isn't it? That's the one with the beams up on top, right?
Yeah, it is. It's that one.
Yep, that's the right bridge.
It's the one with the beams up on top.
Okay.
Is that the one you crossed?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, there's something, this 52, 391, 332 is pointing to the south entrance to Somerset. That's what I was wondering. But on this chart, this vicinity map, on,
It looks like it's correct. It's pointing, it's a West East Road.
Yeah, it's this one up here.
Oh,
You are correct, Greg. It's at the wrong one.
Our apologies for that.
okay, so, okay, just wanted to make sure. Yeah, Somerset's kind of like a U, and so there's a, if you follow it along, there's another. Okay. Any, Lindsay? No, Bill Evans, excuse me.
Yeah, thank you, Roger. Looking at this corrosion, it's pretty horrible there. And you said, it's lived its life of 50 years. To me, 50 years is not necessarily a long time for a bridge. I mean, there are bridges in this world used all over the world that are, 150, 200 years old if they're built with the right construction, everything, and obviously using different things. But have we explored other types that can survive this kind of, and I'm assuming a lot of this has to do with the salt we use on it now. So that's question one. And then the other question is, since we're going to tear the bridge down halvesies, leave the other half, I'm assuming, for transit, is there a way we can reinforce the other half temporarily using some kind of beams and reinforce it so it can handle the weight rather than have all of these problems that are created? Because once the other half is built, the problems go away.
That's correct.
So I'm wondering, have we explored that at all? Because that might be a better solution than all these other ones we're talking about.
I'll answer your second question first. No, we haven't looked at that and see if there's any opportunity for that. When we asked these guys to load rate the bridge, they load rate the bridge as a unit, not as individual lanes. Because we did ask, that lane to the lake side, I'll call it, is newer. And obviously, it doesn't have as much degradation as the other two lanes. So, excellent question. Thank you for that. I'll ask these guys, I'll ask Sarah and gang to look into that. To your first question, salts and everything else, alternate means. For that style of bridge, 50 years is pretty good. We identified early on, in fact, when we were standing out there looking at the hole, we realized that there was no drainage off the bridge. So any chemicals or anything we put on the bridge basically stayed on the bridge. It didn't drain off. That's the way they built it back in 1974, and we've lived with it this long. I have met with the streets department, Jesse Reeb, and he is going to look at not putting as much chemical on the bridge or as much salt, so we can preserve it as long as we can. But that, yeah, we've already discussed that, looked at it.
Well, this is a question for you. You know, I grew up around all this construction because my dad.
Yes, sir.
I don't even know if he may have built that bridge, for all I know. But the rebars, this corrosion that's happening, it's pretty shocking to see. Back then, they weren't coating them with that stuff they put on them now, right? Is that something that prevents this from happening over a much longer period of time?
Yes, your question is, at that time, they did not coat the rebar with the epoxy coating that we're doing now. That is absolutely correct. They just used plain black, what we call black bar, and now we put any rebar that goes into a bridge, the reinforcing steel, is epoxy coated, and that extends its life. So, yes,
Okay.
you are correct,
All right,
absolutely.
thank you.
Go to Lindsay Seacrest.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Roger and gentlemen, for the update and the work you've done on this. My question was on Creek Drive. This particular bridge is not even 40 years old. So is this an unusual process that we're seeing play out, or is it just that this was not as high a quality of bridge surface?
Well, so these bridges, double Ts, they're essentially, it's got two stems. They're about 5 inches wide, and then it's got a 5-inch deck that sits on top. And it's just, they set it on the bridge, and then the traffic just drives directly on top of them. And typically for a bridge that's 50 feet long, we like to see those beams be 30 inches. And the beams on this specific bridge, for whatever reason, they're only 23 inches. And so, in our opinion, they're already under-designed for today's vehicles. And, you know, like I said, these double Ts, they typically don't hold up very well under repetitive, heavy truck traffic. These,
Oh, I see.
yeah,
Yes.
these type of bridges are usually reserved for out on a county road, middle of nowhere, that sees 1 or 2 trucks, or 1 or 2 vehicles a day, maybe a truck every month. And so
Okay.
they don't have the robust capacity of some of the other structures out there.
And we have seen a significant change in the traffic on this is South Creek Drive, this is south of St. Pat, to over this bridge in the last 40 years. And Spencer's exactly right. These aren't designed to handle that much truck traffic. They're designed for lighter loads and infrequent, so it's, yeah.
And that bridge, I believe, is seeing traffic from the fire department now too, because they just
Yes.
built a facility out there.
I see. Thank you so much, Roger, and thank you for your work on the Chapel Valley Bridge. That's public safety is super important in that area, and it sounds like you've kind of hit all the facets of who needs to be notified and all the angles there. So thank you for that effort, and appreciate that.
Thank you. It's taken a whole team, I'll tell you that. There's been a lot of people involved, and shout out really goes to them. So they did the hard lifting.
Yes, thank you.
I just end up being the face of it, so.
So, before you guys step away, fire department's gonna step in here in a second, but I just have a question. I know, Roger, you're a civil engineer,
Yes, sir.
correct, by training?
Yes, sir.
Are you what's your background for Spencer and,
Currently, I'm an engineer in training, and so I'm currently working on studying to get my PE.
Okay.
So hopefully, I'm actually hoping to get that done by the end of the year, so.
okay?
Yep.
Yes, and I went to school for civil engineering as well, working on getting my engineering and training, and then soon PE as well.
Okay, you seem very conversant and very familiar with these principles, and it seems like it requires an engineer. Yeah, I appreciate your background, and
Yeah. And I will say too, all the decisions that we made, everything's signed off by PE in our office too.
Sure.
And so, you know, they verify everything that we do and make sure we're all on the same page.
great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then go to the fire department.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you'll abide me a few minutes here, I'll just answer some of the questions that came up at Public Works and hopefully provide you guys some information on kind of our response to the model to that Chapel Valley right now.
Please.
So just to back up some statistics, in 2024, we responded to that area 34 times, and our engine went across 16 times. So to date this year in 2025, we've done 22 calls to that area, and our engine's gone across that bridge 10 times. So double that because it goes across, goes in, and then it has to come out. So you can pretty much look at that engine goes across half as much as the calls that we have in that area. And some of that's due to the proactive stuff we do with dispatch and how our units respond. For example, some of the calls that the engine goes on with an ambulance are like unconscious calls, cardiac arrests, strokes, and motor vehicle accidents. So some of the minor acuity stuff that you call 911 for, you might just get an ambulance. So we're already proactively trying to limit the amount of responses that our engines do. It's important for those fire trucks to get there if there is a structure fire. We abide by NFPA 1710, which says we have to have a minimum of 15 to 17 firefighters on scene within 8 minutes. So getting that engine there, it actually also says getting 4 people there within 4 minutes of the initial call is part of that standard. So having that engine be able to get across that bridge and get there if there is a possible structure fire is really important for us. We have adjusted the way we respond. You know, like I said, we need 15 people there at a minimum. So I've sent an email out to the department saying, hey, if we get a possible structure fire in there, let's send 1 engine in. We'll stage everybody else in the church parking lot. Once they confirm it's a structure fire, then we'll send the rest of that apparatus across there. So we're trying to limit the amount of times we take our large apparatus across there. On top of that, I know we've discussed that secondary egress. That's been a huge concern for both law enforcement and us for a number of years. We always talk about the wildland-urban interface, and that's one of the big areas that comes up every time we talk about that. So getting that secondary egress out of there we would support that 100%.
Mr. Chair, if I may add to that, you know, we've coordinated with these guys, and the decision was made, even though the fire truck does not meet our load limits, they're gonna go if there's an emergency. We're not gonna, you know, they don't have a choice. The other thing I kind of skipped over a little bit was when this bridge is being reconstructed, I said it'd be down to 1 lane. Our plan is to put traffic signals to control traffic entering and exiting. So we'll have a traffic signal out on Jackson Boulevard, Highway 44 out there, but we'll also have one on what I call the inside. So that's how we're going to control traffic.
Okay. And then the secondary access, is there a proposal or is there anything, any drawing? Is there, I mean, do we even know
I'll
where we're
let
at
Vicki
with that?
address
Nope.
that one. She's got a bigger vision than I do on that.
Okay. Can I skip over to her first, Bill? Okay, Vicki, would you address that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Several years ago, there was a task force put together to look at that secondary access, and there is one that physically could be secured with some grading and other improvements that would go through the Salador Ranch, connecting this to Sheridan Lake Road. There may be other options that are more immediate back to 44. Working with those landowners may be somewhat difficult, but we are going to be meeting with staff to see what our options are. We want this to be, for now, just an emergency access point, and there'll have to be some collaboration with the homeowners within Chapel Valley. That is, for the most part, a private road system, and there has been significant pushback where they do not want a permanent second point of access. So we've got a ways to go on that. For now, we're just looking at emergency. There is one physical route we know would work, and we'll try to improve upon that.
Okay, thank you. Bill Evans?
I guess they sort of answered it since you say you're going to send the fire trucks over no matter what. But yesterday, Mr. Pettigrew asked if there would be a possibility of stationing a truck there, especially during the high fire season or something, so it would have immediate access without worrying about that thing. Is that even a possibility?
Mr. Chair, my concern with that would be the amount of reserve apparatus that we have, stationing one, committing it to that side. And then, as you know, we're checking our trucks all the time to make sure they're ready to go. So that's more traffic. It might be a lighter vehicle, but that's more traffic that we're going to have to go back and forth. He did bring up the freezing concern. That is a big concern for us, because if that truck freezes, there's a lot of piping and pumps that are very expensive that could cost the city quite a bit if they break. So the other thing would be the delayed response You know, right now, our crews are in the stations, they're putting whatever PPE they need on, getting in the apparatus, getting ready, and when they're pulling up on scene, they are ready to go to work. So just that delayed response, it'd be, I guess it'd be a give and take if we were able to find something to house the fire engine on that side, but there would be a lot of logistical stuff that we'd have to work through.
Kind of makes you wish that house was still a fire station right there. That's the bridge, right? No.
Chief Hedrick, did you have a comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to echo what my partner here at the fire department, Chief Pravandra, was saying. You know, we've had many discussions with the neighborhood about a secondary access point. And, you know, I understand there are folks might be considered or might not want to have change in the neighborhood, but we truly have a safety concern there. And I'm glad we're having the discussion and we're talking about it. Appreciate Vicky's folks taking a look at it. I think we just have to really weigh the safety needs when we're looking at this and making sure we have multiple ways to access and egress a neighborhood. So thank you for considering that.
Thank you.
I move to acknowledge this presentation.
Okay, there's a motion by Evans and a second by Seacrest to acknowledge. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we're going to have a streets and maintenance campus redevelopment presented by Gerard Kammerer and Alex Cushman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Gerard Kammerer. I'm the maintenance superintendent.
And I'm Alex Cushman. I'm an engineer with Public Works.
And today we'd like to give you a brief presentation of the street and maintenance campus redevelopments. So as I'm sure most of you are aware, the street and maintenance campus is on the corner of East Main Street North and Steele Avenue. We have Shop 1, which is our primary heavy-duty maintenance facility. It was built in 1952, has about 10,000 square feet of operational and administrative space. We do share that space with the street department on the administrative side. Shop 2 was built in 1981 and has about 12,000 square feet of administrative and operational space. And then you can kind of see the layout here. It's not very good use of the space here with everything spread out for kind of navigation through the campus and kind of where things are located. And then just for reference, that's the utility maintenance building there in the background. So we'll also refer to the old traffic operations building, and that's in the southeast portion of the campus. We did use the Brownsfield grant last year to abate some asbestos and some other hazardous materials. That kind of sets us up. What we're looking at is utilizing that footprint on the campus for what we're calling Shop 3. Yeah. So the Rapid City Maintenance Division supports these main divisions, the streets, solid waste, water reclamation, the police department, and parks and recreation. We do that with 23 mechanics supporting over 1,000 pieces of vehicles and equipment, and the combined value is $55.8 million. So our problem identification here is we've greatly outgrown the current campus. With the technological advancements of our fleet and equipment, they've grown exponentially in size. So what was once this size in 1952 is not necessarily this size in 2025. So the challenge that we're facing right now in our current facilities is our lifting devices. As you can see in some of these pictures here, our hydro excavating truck is probably one of our largest pieces of equipment, along with our V-wing plow. So depending on what time of year, we're forced to service those pieces of equipment outside. Without the lifting devices, our solid waste trucks are another challenge to service. We can fit the collection trucks in the bay, but we don't have the ability to lift them up. We've recently been notified by our Public Works electricians that all of our electrical systems in these facilities are outdated, and it would be a very expensive cost to update those in kind of the current state of the facility. Wouldn't be a very wise investment. And just for our employees, who are our #1 asset, It's suboptimal working conditions, so it's not the greatest place to come to work every day. And then with the growth of our population and our fleet and equipment, we've concluded that we need about 19 additional service bays, and that just brings us up to current times. It's not planning for the future. So over the 18 months of our discovery for this development of the maintenance division, we stumbled upon Lenexa, Kansas. Doing a little bit of research into that municipality, they were kind of in the same state that we are. They had a growing population, growing fleet and equipment. They needed support. So they came together and decided that they were going to build this facility here. As you can see, this is complete 180 of what our campus is right now. This does provide a conducive environment to service all of our fleet equipment. As you can kind of see on the right side in the background, we have a large ladder truck followed by the loader there, some medium equipment, and then our police equipment there, kind of at the bottom of that picture. And then having that time motion and conducive environment, and by that meaning everything's kind of centralized and useful when you need it, and that's not so much the case right now. So with the ability for that, it just provides more efficiency for our mechanics to kind of perform that maintenance.
So Gerard says he doesn't have enough bays. I put this slide in here to demonstrate that. We're looking at a handbook for municipal maintenance facilities that gives guidelines for how big bays should be based on the type of vehicle they serve. And again, based on the type of vehicle, you can only support so many vehicles with one bay. It's higher for collection trucks, for example. So with the fleet our size, we're at maybe half of the square footage that we need. You can see on there. Building this shop 3, we're calling it, gets us closer to today's needs and closer to where we'd like to be. With facilities like this, the typical approach is to build 10 years out. We think a 16-bay facility would get us, like I said, closer to where we want to be. And if you just look around town, Pennington County, the car dealerships on Mall Drive, next time you're getting your outfit serviced, it's a night and day difference. If you haven't been on the tour of the campus with Gerard, I highly recommend you do it. It's pretty eye-opening. They're in pretty rough shape, and it affects employee retention. For example, you've seen the wings on snowplows that stick out the side there. Well, yeah, you can attach that on a nice day in October, but when something goes wrong on that truck while it's snowing, it will no longer fit inside the bay. So now whatever that truck needs, you're doing outside in the snow. Really not ideal. We have a facility plan for the campus that identified 4 phases to get streets and maintenance, into a well-organized, functional space. This shop that we're talking about has a estimated cost of $8 million. This is phase 1, mind you. That would construct 16 heavy-duty service bays. And I'll go through phases 2 through 4 just to put it kind of all in context. So shop 3 is in the purple in the lower right-hand corner there. Phase 2 consolidates salt storage to free up square footage on the campus, as well as brings the first round of heated snowplow storage. Gerard may have mentioned, a snowplow is north of $300,000. That's like Ferrari money, and we're just letting them sit outside year round. Maybe not the best way to treat that investment. Phase 3 replaces Shop 1, which was constructed in 1952, adds more bays, adds space for trades and custodial which are other services that maintenance provides to the city. Phase 4, highlighted in green there, brings the balance of the needed heated storage for street sweepers and snowplows.
So the benefits of this project for the community is it's increasing our fleet readiness. Like I had mentioned earlier with utility maintenance and some of our emergency responders, it allows us the optimal maintenance facility to perform the maintenance on these things, along with, like Alex said, providing the storage environmentally to keep these things out of the elements. And as we come to you for these requests for vehicles, we know that they're expensive and what they cost to the citizen. So we want to be better stewards of that money and take better care of our assets. Our employee benefits, our employees are our number one asset. They bring their A game every day, and we just want to give them a better environment to come to work every day. And that's increasing the safety and ergonomics, and it allows them to improve their efficiency and productivity with a more conducive environment. And then the economic benefits, we know our mechanics do a great job. They're technically proficient, and they do it at a lower cost. Last year, we spent about $600,000 in outsourced maintenance, so we can greatly reduce that. Alex is going to kind of get to that on our next point here, but we can use that money elsewhere in other projects and stuff like that. And with us operating on the general fund, we're kind of at the mercy of that. So we were very stringent on kind of our site selection. And as you're probably aware, this was our presentation to the Vision Fund Committee. And round circle, we just kept coming back to that campus because we already own the property. We already have the footprint there with the utilities. And that's why we just kept coming back to that Steel Ave campus. And then our return on investment, I think Alex will kind of drive that point home on the next slide here.
So most city projects, they're expensive to start and they're expensive to maintain. This, Shop 3, Phase 1 is different. It has a return on investment and it's aggressive. It has a payback period of 6 years. This is from the business plan. It was prepared by Daniel Ainsley, Rapid City's finance officer. This came out of our Vision Fund proposal we prepared earlier this year. But it shows, yes, like there will be added expenses. We would add 8 mechanics to staff a new facility, but our annual savings, mostly coming from reduced outsourced maintenance costs, still result in a net annual savings of over $1 million a year. That equates to a 6-year return on investment or a 16.5%, payback period return on investment. Either way you look at it, we think it's kind of a no-brainer. This is a quote from the mayor. He gave this last year. The line that it's an embarrassment to Rapid City was kind of a tongue-in-cheek joke we used while we were preparing these slides, but it really is true. These facilities are rough. Like, again, if you haven't been on the tour, please get into contact with Gerard. There is a Connex container scabbed on to Shop 1 to provide additional storage. Employee retention is an ongoing problem there. We did apply for vision funding in this cycle. We were not selected. We did get quite a few compliments from the Citizens Committee who all went on the tour. John Kaiser, the chairman, called it alarming and, agreed that this facility does need attention.
So this is, we kind of wanted to wrap it up and summarize kind of our case here is, here we have a mechanic, outside working. In the past, before I was down there about a year ago, they were actually using old Army tarps and propane heaters to heat up the blocks of these diesel engines just to get them fired up in the morning to go out and take care of a snow event. So full circle, I think this is a great opportunity for us to sharpen the tools that we already have in our toolkit. This can be a great effective program as we grow this even further. with not just here at our fleet, but also in our facility maintenance and our asset management area. And we're willing to work with you in every way to make that happen. Thank you. Stand for questions.
Thank you. We'll go to Councilman Evans.
You're not related to Tom Cushman, are you?
No, sir.
Okay, just my classmate. Anyhow, this is a really beautiful paper you printed this thing on, by the way. It really feels good in your hand. Yeah, it's really, really nice. Anyhow, this goes back to the comment I made earlier about strategy and where we're leading. Now, if we go ahead and invest money in this site and build this out, does that really fit with our ultimate city plan for this innovation corridor and working with tech and rebuilding the downtown? Or would we be better to just do it right and relocate you guys to a spot and give you a great facility that maybe fits with the plan of the city going 30 or 40 years forward? Because I can see that this land is only going to become more and more valuable in the center of the city, and maybe we ought to start again thinking strategically rather than tactically to get by so that we don't have to redo this in 15 years. So have we talked about that at all? It looks like Mr.
Go ahead, Chief.
Ainsley's dying to talk.
Well, I see Chief Edrick in. Are you still in, Chief? Okay. No, you're up next, according to what I've got, so.
No, I was just going to do a quick shout out to the folks that work on our vehicles over there. Do an amazing job keeping our public safety vehicles up and running, and I know that's not an easy task, and we wouldn't be able to do it without your help. And big shout out to Jeff Wilson and his folks. Just can't say enough great things. Thank you for what you do.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks. Next, we'll go to Lindsay Sechrist.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, gentlemen, for the update on the maintenance campus. I'm in agreement with Mr. Evans that I think strategically and long-term, big vision here, doesn't make sense that we invest $35 million in this particular location when we as a community want to continue to. I just attended this morning the School of Mines State of the University, and the amazing things that are happening right here in Rapid City, and the potential opportunities we have in research and development, growing this innovation district, utilizing that space to the best of our ability doesn't make sense to improvise and to build all these separate facilities when we could take a bigger vision here and look to the future in a more creative and strategic way. I do want to just say thank you to the maintenance and street utility departments that are operating out of these facilities. I have been on site and toured them several times. It is very dated. This is South Dakota. We're innovative and we make do with what we have, and that's what we've done. And is it time to invest now? Absolutely. We need to be thinking of how we can support this into the future. And nothing's more important when it's a blizzard out is that our street maintenance operators are out and able to function, and that they're safe because they're keeping us safe, right? And same for our PD and our fire in those cases. And so thank you for all that you do in the conditions that you do them in right now. I know that this big picture with the centralization of services, I believe in that. I think you guys are headed down the right path, and that we're going to be better served as a community as a result. So I'm fully in support of us doing something. I think, is there a way we can sit down and brainstorm this? Is there a better location? I would like to see us continue to build the innovation district and prioritize any accessible area that we have there for quality of life in that area. So thank you.
And we're going to go to Daniel Ainsley to wrap things up for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think any staff member would disagree with any of the comments that were made. This is not the most strategic location for it. We were presenting it as the most affordable option to proceed, but absolutely, if you're looking long-term, without a doubt, to enhance the School of Mines, the downtown area, and also to ensure that we had enough space so that 50 years from now we are in a correct location. There are different locations that we have looked at and we have considered. We simply were not presenting that because we're trying to show you the most affordable option. With that being said, hearing your direction, we will be presenting to you a different option to proceed next month, and also a financing plan to be able to proceed so that we can continue to provide good services for the community.
Thank you, Daniel. Bill Evans has one more quick comment, he said.
Just so you know, Rapid City always hasn't kind of like gotten by on the cheap. If you look back to when they built Old Central there, they moved into that school. They didn't even use the top floor for several years because they planned for the future, so they didn't have to build another school for 40 or 50 years, and they did not. So I think we need to go back to that way of thinking, and so we're not always redoing things because it's always more expensive to keep doing it 2 or 3 times than do it right once. So I think you'll get support from some of us on the council. I hope everybody thinks the way Lindsay and I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. There's a motion to approve by Sechrist and a second by Evans. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next is renewable natural gas monetization at the solid waste facility. Fire away, Mr. Titus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This presentation, excuse me, was given yesterday at the Public Works Committee meeting, and there were 2 agenda items that were accompanying it yesterday. One was for a memorandum of understanding and then a non-disclosure agreement. That committee moved that to council with recommendation to approve. So this presentation is the same one that was given yesterday. This is an exciting opportunity for solid waste, and the division is trying to find other avenues for revenue streams as well as beneficial use for some of the products that we have out at the solid waste division. This all started a little bit of history. Mike Pogany with Black Hills Energy and myself were at an event in the spring of '25, and we were talking about the improvements at the solid waste facility and the methane gas that is generated from the landfill cells, the closed cells, and the improvements that were going on. We had a new flare that was being constructed. And from that, we went into a formal conversation in May of '25 with city staff and folks from Black Hills Energy to talk about the potential opportunities for renewable natural gas, beneficial use for the methane gas that is generated out there. And what came out of that was there's also an opportunity at our water reclamation facility with the new technology that we're utilizing out there. We anticipate additional methane gas being produced at the water reclamation facility. So that's kind of where we got to the point we are now, where we're presenting why we would like to move into a memorandum of understanding and have a non-disclosure agreement. So with that, wanted to do a little bit of an introduction. I have Paul Comack with Black Hills Energy. He's in charge of their renewable resources division. And then we have Mike Pogany in the office. He is the director of operations. And then Wade Nyberg, who is a familiar face, is the legal counsel for Black Hills Corporation. So we have a lot of people here to answer questions if necessary. So moving into the presentation, renewable natural gas. Oh, and I'm being remiss. Our solid waste superintendent, Jeff Barber, is in the audience as well. So we've handled the introductions. I'm going to handle the second item, which is a high level, what is renewable natural gas? And then Paul will talk about the value of RNG, and then Black Hills Energy's role in RNG, and then an example plant that they have in Dubuque, Iowa. And then Paul and I'll close out with the next steps. So what is renewable natural gas? In the industry, and I'm not an industry person, but I picked up on the lingo of brown gas versus green gas. Brown gas is your traditional gas that's from a fossil fuels. It's MDU brings it from North Dakota, Montana, and the pipelines. That's a brown gas. Green gas is biogas that is from a biological process, and it actually contains molecules that are more beneficial for the environment. Rapid City is fortunate in the case of green gas that we have two facilities that generate methane gas, the water reclamation facility and our solid waste, the landfill, do the biological process of a closed landfill cell, it generates methane gas. RNG, you remove the contaminants, and basically RNG is the same as regular natural gas. It's greater than 90% methane, and it has a 950 BTU efficiency rate. RNG would be comparable to traditional natural gas, and there are stringent specifications and testing to ensure that its quality is met. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Paul, or excuse me, I do have one more slide. I like this slide. The sources of RNG, biogas, are on the left, and I like the slide because it represents Rapid City has two of the three sources. We have the water reclamation treatment plant, and we have the municipal solid waste. Agriculture and food waste is also a source of biogas and is utilized in the industry. And then the typical produce, or where the product goes, is either used for power generation or can be put into the gas grid system, or there are a lot of ethanol plants, places like that, that use it for boilers and industrial. We do utilize our methane gas at both the water rec facility and at solid waste for boilers and heating, but it is only an insignificant amount of the methane that is totally produced. So we use a very small portion of it for boilers, but we do try to utilize it. With that, I'll turn it over to Paul.
Thanks, Stacy, and good afternoon, Council. I'm very happy to be here, and Stacy did a great job of describing renewable natural gas and what it is. I'm going to talk about its value. So RNG does have tremendous value, far greater than the brown gas that Stacy described. Part of the reason it has value is because of the renewable fuel standard that you'll see on the slide in front of you. Renewable fuel standard is a federal program that requires certain amount of renewable fuels will be blended with the motor vehicle fuel supply system in the United States. This is a federal program. So a couple things that EPA did to facilitate the RFS is one, they created RINs. RINs are renewable identification numbers that are basically a unique number that are attached to a gallon of renewable fuel. Those RINs are generated by RNG producers. There's a market where those RINs are traded, and then obligated parties obtain those RINs and then retire them to meet their obligations. So basically the RINs have become the currency of the RFS program. So that's a federal program. Again, that's the first thing that EPA did to facilitate the program. The second thing they did was to determine that all pipelines, major pipelines, or actually any kind of pipeline, gas pipeline, in this country and in North America can be deemed one large pipeline system. So that's why you can produce renewable natural gas in Rapid City, inject it into this pipeline system, and you can pull it out as renewable natural gas in California or even in Canada. So that, again, allows it to have tremendous value in the ability to move the attributes from the middle of the United States to any place in North America. So those two things have helped make renewable natural gas very valuable. So that's a federal program, federal incentives because of the RINs. There are other additional regional incentive programs. California's low carbon fuel standard, the LCFS, is probably the most well-known, the largest of the regional markets. That's another layer of incentives that can be stacked onto the federal incentives. So you have federal incentives, you have regional incentives. So because of that, there's just been tremendous growth in the number of RNG facilities. The map in front of you is North America. You can see that there are 950 either operational, under construction, or planned RNG facilities. Compare this to 2010, when there were only 37 facilities in North America. So you can see the type of growth that's happened over the last 15 years. So because of this growth, Black Hills had a lot of RNG developers that came to us and wanted to interconnect into our pipeline system. The map in front of you shows the 10 operational interconnections that we own and operate. We've invested in these interconnections where other producers' RNG is injected into our distribution or transmission pipeline system. We do have another project. Our 11th project interconnection is actually under construction at the Lincoln landfill as we speak. This is a typical pipeline interconnection. So when I'm talking about the RNG coming into the pipeline system, as Stacy mentioned, there are stringent specification quality, biomethane quality specifications that we have equipment that continuously tests this gas to make sure it meets those specs. That's to protect our pipeline system. It's also to protect our downstream customers. So if that RNG meets spec, it's allowed to flow into the system. If it doesn't, then that slam shut valve right there in the middle of the picture will do its job. It will slam shut. It will send that RNG to a flare or back to the producer sometimes so that they can run it back through their plant and see if they can improve the quality. Quality is very important to us, and these specifications are also very important. So because of all this activity and because of the interconnections that we had built, Black Hills decided to ramp up our activity and our participation in the RNG industry. So as of January of 2024, we acquired an operational plant in Dubuque, Iowa. It is co-located on the landfill, a regional landfill in the eastern part of Iowa. Very similar in size to the Rapid City landfill. You can see our plant in the background. So for the last 18 months, we have successfully produced RNG and generated our own RINs. This is a picture of the plant itself. If you look at the top left picture, that's the outside of the plant with the utility receipt point in the foreground. The picture below that shows the inside of that building with all of our processing equipment that cleans up the biogas, the landfill gas, turns it into renewable natural gas. And then the picture on the right is the well field that we operate, which is also what we would propose in the case of Rapid City's landfill. So I'll turn this back over to Stacy to talk about next steps.
Thank you, Paul. As I mentioned before, this presentation was given yesterday, and at council on the 18th, we're going to be asking for authorization to execute a NDA, non-disclosure agreement with Black Hills Energy and the city to explore the opportunity for RNG. Along with that, there will be a memorandum of understanding, which is the working relationship for moving forward to investigate the process of RNG, not only at the solid waste facility, but also at our water reclamation facility. Depending on that evaluation, which tentatively we would have that completed spring of 2026, we would have potential future agreements coming forward where we would talk about royalties and rights of agreement between the city and Black Hills Energy Renewable Resources, which is a division within Black Hills Energy. What's in it for the city? A new source of revenue for the landfill and the water reclamation facility as a biogas royalty. As Paul mentioned, Under the proposal, Black Hills Energy would operate the plant, and they would also take over management of our well fields. So there is a reduced management and operation cost for the city in regard to our gas collection and control system. It's a local source of energy, and it's a positive, sustainable message. And those would be the reasons I would encourage support for moving forward with the MOU and the NDA. And with that, I'll turn it back to Paul to talk about Black Hills Energy renewable resources.
Yeah, thanks, Stacy. So if the evaluation shows that the landfill and/or wastewater treatment plant projects have enough biogas, that the projects are feasible, we'll be back to talk about the biogas rights, gas rights agreements that we'd want to execute with the city. And we would do all the investing. We would design, build, operate, and maintain not only the RNG plant, but the well field out at the landfill and any kind of infrastructure that ties all that together. So Black Hills feels like we are the right partner for this because we have the experience, we have the expertise, we've shown that we know how to build interconnections, we know how to operate RNG plants, and we're a great city partner for the city of Rapid City. So turn it back to Stacy.
And I'll end with one point. This is at no cost to the city. Black Hills Energy will be hiring a consultant to do this evaluation. That will be on their nickel. So the city will be participating in the review. We do have a provision in the MOU for us to have a third party look at the results of that evaluation for our benefit. But at this point, there is not a cost associated with the city entering into the MOU. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll go to Bill Evans.
I'm going to move to recognize this or approve what we need to do. Was it a request to actually follow through? No. To actually acknowledge this and then make a comment.
Okay, so there's been a motion to acknowledge by Evans and a second by Sechrist, and Mr. Evans, you have the floor.
This is a perfect example of why our Sustainability Committee is so critical. The knee-jerk reaction to this when we heard about this and the gossip behind the scenes was, who wants to burn those tires and ruin our city, all right? And then, through the Sustainability Committee, we see this gorgeous Hennepin Energy Target Field Recovery Center, downtown Minneapolis, that heats the stadium and the basketball arena and everything. And this is similar to what you're proposing here, is it not? Same kind of facility to recapture the waste. They say 11 million tons in Minneapolis they're burning in this center or something, rather than going to the landfill. So the technology is there. I'm really thrilled to see that Black Hills Energy is being very progressive with this stuff. Rather than being late to the game. It seems to me this is a win-win if we move this forward and it works. If it's fiscally, responsible for both the city and for your company, can really extend the length of the duration of the landfill site as far as I could tell. So this is a great thing, I believe. And I just want to say that if we do get this going, this fits into the kind of strategic thinking we need to think about. Where's the city going to be in 50 years? So the grandkids and the great-grandkids have a great place to live. And perhaps this is part of that way of thinking. Maybe it'll appear in our strategic plan. That's all I want to say, but thank you for the presentation. It's kind of fascinating.
Thank you.
I just had a quick question for Mr. Kamek. Prior to Black Hills Energy obtaining the Dubuque facility that you showed us.
Yes, sir.
Was that already a part of the Black Hills Energy service area, or did you go outside your usual service area to acquire this?
No, our team actually focuses in on renewable natural gas opportunities within our service territory. So that was, to answer your question, yes, that was in our service territory. It went operational October of 2021. We acquired it in January of 2024. So it was a proven facility when we acquired it.
And the service that was provided, that you provide in Dubuque, through a subsidiary or whatever, is that electric and gas, or is it just?
No, just gas.
Just gas.
Just
Okay.
gas.
Just curious.
Yeah.
I think it speaks volumes about your expanding out into this, even if it's, whether it's in an existing service area or not. But it appears that our great corporate citizen here in Rapid City is a big believer in this. So I am too. So thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a motion to acknowledge on the floor. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Lastly, we go to the City Attorney's Office for introduction and first reading of ordinance number 6685, an ordinance amending the Rapid City Municipal Code to prohibit the purchase, sale, or offering for sale of Tianeptine and related products by adding Chapter 8.54 to the Rapid City Municipal Code. And we'll go to the City Attorney, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This was brought forward initially by Alderman Tamang. It was something he said he had seen a few times in the emergency room and had some concerns about it. He brought it to the mayor, and the mayor directed our office to proceed with bringing forward an ordinance. There's several other municipalities in the country that have adopted this. Dr. Tamang is certainly much better at talking about the specific concerns and health issues related to this product, but if you do a little bit of research on it, it appears like it really doesn't provide much or any medical benefit. And frankly, when I did the research, I was surprised the state hadn't and the federal government hadn't already classified it as a controlled substance. I suspect in the near future that may happen, but right now, there were other communities that have adopted similar ordinances. I believe we have the power to adopt the ordinance under the city's general police power. The ordinance itself really, rather than possession, it just focuses on sale. So the plan, and this was done in coordination with the police department as far as enforcement, but what it says is you cannot sell Tianeptine in. A lot of times it's sold in gas stations and convenience stores as some sort of aid, that you can't sell it. So really we would just probably do education with the convenience stores and gas stations in town, and if we found it, would notify them that they weren't allowed to sell it and would only take legal action if they continued to sell it after being notified. But it doesn't really focus on possession. There are other ways people could obviously acquire it. But it's just a step that Dr. Tamang felt the city could take to minimize it in a product that can cause a lot of harm and has no real benefit. So,
Thank you. We'll go to Kevin Maher.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to make a motion that we approve this ordinance, and I'd like to keep the floor if I can get a second.
Okay, we've got a motion by Maher and a second by Seacrest to approve the ordinance, and we'll go back to Kevin Maher.
So I did some research on this and was surprised, and in talking to Stephen Tamang, Councilman Tamang, it is in Rapid City and it is causing problems. But the FDA does not approve this supplement. It currently is illegal in 8 states. And yes, like our city attorney said, this should be done at the South Dakota level, but this is a start. So I'm going to support this. And if you go out, there's an attachment to this agenda item, a Rapid City Journal article was very good about it. It's called gas station heroin. It has the same effects on people, or mostly young kids. There's no age limit to buying this. It has the same impacts on kids as opioids. So it's very dangerous to have in our community, and it's unregulated. The FDA says it's illegal, but that's all they do. They just say it's illegal. It's really up to the state and the city to pass ordinances to prohibit it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Lindsay Seacrest.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In review of this item, I really don't have a reason to not support this item. I mean, all the research that surrounds us and the information we've been provided and the Rapid City Journal article and the sources provided certainly indicate that this is a dangerous substance and not an uncommon pattern we've seen in recent past too with some of the other synthetic drugs that have come in and out of the community, and as we've had to regulate those. I just had a question, if I may, Mr. Chair, direct to our police chief, Chief Hedrick.
Sure, go ahead.
I was just curious, what are the impacts on the police department with this ordinance, and do we have an enforcement strategy in mind here? And then can you confirm that we are in fact, presently, we know that there are people selling this product in the community?
Well, after speaking with Dr. Temang, we know it is present in our community. We went out and did a sort of a survey a couple weeks ago and went to over 20 locations where we have not found it being sold yet. In those locations that we went to, I'm not saying we hit every single place, but we hit a large amount. So the timing is right to try to get in front of it, as opposed to waiting before it hits the shelves and then trying to ask people to grab it back off the shelves. So I think if we were going to work on it, the time would be now before it becomes being sold in mass. And right now it would not be that heavy of a lift. I think the education piece that the city attorney talked about would be a good first step, explaining the why behind the ordinance and getting that information out to folks that could sell it, and asking for voluntary compliance to follow through with the ordinance would be the good starting point. So I think we're on a good track if you decide to go that route.
Thank you for that information. I absolutely support that. Thank you.
Councilman Evans?
Like Missy Chris said, there's absolutely no reason not to support it, but we always have to be aware of the forbidden fruit effect. I never heard of this stuff, and when it becomes part of the conversation, you energize a whole group of people that then all of a sudden it becomes something. As a teacher, we called it the Monica Lewinsky effect, because you cannot believe the questions that third and fourth graders were asking us that I didn't know anything about until high school and college. And that's what happens when it's part of the conversation, is you energize people's curiosity. And that's the only risk that goes in getting ahead of this, is because it may actually serve to push it farther down the pipeline. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor to approve. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next, do we have any alderman items? I didn't think so. So motion to adjourn by Evans, second by Maher. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. We're adjourned. You did second that, didn't you? You did second that, didn't you?